The creation of autobiographical texts incites multiple challenges for the author with regards to artistic liberties and authorial integrity. But Alison Bechdel's Fun Home provides an interesting portrayal of the balance between objective truth and engaging storytelling. Through the combination of both visual and textual support, Bechdel intricately weaves an entertaining yet possibly inaccurate depiction of how her fun home and the people inside it molded her into the woman she is today. But the obscurity of the text is only a testament to the fact that it shouldn't be consumed with the assumption that it is a typical autobiography. To properly understand Bechdel's perspective, Fun Home must be approached in a uniquely open and empathetic way, by which I mean readers must first understand the struggle that she faces in telling her story in an engaging way, while grappling with the reality that her recollection of her childhood may, in fact, be obstructed by personal trauma and or false memories. It is for this reason why a critique of Fun Home must take into account all of the following. Is it stylistically, visually, and intellectually engaging? How effectively does it realize its own weaknesses in storytelling? And how effectively do the various forms work together? Ultimately, it is my opinion that Bechdel has effectively juggled the various forms to reveal a uniquely introspective autobiographical depiction of her familial relationships, while also providing interesting insights into the faults in her own memories and their subsequent portrayal, resulting in an extremely grounded and accessible piece of literary triumph. The main aspect that sets Fun Home apart from other autobiographical pieces is its style and form. In many ways, the combination of textual and visual literature makes for a drastically more enjoyable experience for the reader when compared to a typical autobiography. Many autobiographies consist of accounts of the subject's life that, depending on the level of writing of the author, often tend to leave out vital information about how certain events impacted their broader lives. In other words, they are one-dimensional. Contrastingly, Bechdel's stylistic tone throughout the graphic novel provides a sense of sincerity and vulnerability that entices the reader to continue to venture into her intricate relationship with her father and her own sexuality. In Chapter 4, Bechdel illustrates the complicating tensions between her father and herself, particularly in regards to fashion, when Bruce attempts to persuade Alison that she should dress more feminine. She writes, "Between us lay a slender demilitarized zone, our shared reverence for masculine beauty. But I wanted the muscles and tweed like my father wanted the velvet and pearls." Through the use of metaphor, this quick glimpse of seemingly normal teenage angst provides the reader with a perfect example of how Bechdel's depiction of her own, as well as her father's vulnerability, leaves a desire to discover more about the strings pulling at Alison and her father's relationship. Despite the beautiful diction and visual imagery that is presented throughout the text portion of the work, one area that certainly lacks in appealing to the audience is the illustrated frames. To fully comprehend the finer details of the author's life, which should be the goal of any biographical work, color could have been added to the frames so that the smaller things can take the reader's understanding of the subject to the next level, such as the colors of Bruce Bechdel's clothes. In the first chapter, when we are first introduced to the Fun Home, it would make it much easier for the reader to comprehend Bechdel's feelings towards the house if it contained a semi-elaborate color scheme. It is here where graphic novel creators are really able to show off their artistic abilities by portraying emotions through artworks via varying color schemes, and it feels like Bechdel has missed an opportunity to add yet another level of self-inspection to her work. However, the black and white color frames could be viewed as a reflection of the author's confession that the memories and stories depicted throughout the novel may be incomplete or even partially untrue. This level of honesty and sincerity is one that is often not reached by authors telling the stories of their own lives, but it allows for a more enhanced connection between the reader and the author. Part of the greater goal for Fun Home is for Bechdel to convince both herself and her readers of the impossibility of pure truth when relaying traumatic memories. Throughout the novel, she is in a constant subconscious discourse with herself to try to determine the truth behind what she is putting to paper, and more importantly, whether it even matters if her story is entirely truthful. She grapples with this conflict most potently when she is discussing the mystery surrounding her father's death. At the start of Chapter 4, Bechdel writes, "I have suggested that my father killed himself, but it is just as accurate to say that he died gardening," highlighting her inner conflict between uncovering the truth or finding a story that more adequately fits her memory of him. The challenging of her own memory is further exemplified in Chapter 5 when Bechdel introduces the audience to her obsessive-compulsive tendencies, and her journal writing as an adolescent. She delves into her own insanity to reveal that sometimes even physical evidence can stimulate false memories, but maintains that the core emotions that had been evoked by her father were left unhindered in her unconscious psyche. Kvekovich reaffirms this idea in her analysis of memory in Fun Home, stating, "The graphic act of striking out words with a mark that is a cross between word and image provides its own eloquent testimony to the impossibility of documenting truthfully what we see and experience." Ultimately, this introspection into her own weaknesses forces Bechdel's novel to be approached in a way that other autobiographies don't demand. She declares that what she believes to be true may in fact be the opposite, and thus diverts the focus of the piece to her own experiences and how her feelings towards her father change over time and across different plausible scenarios. One of the greatest triumphs of Bechdel's ambitious project is the delicate interweaving of text and drawing that combine to create a compelling dual narrative of fact and feeling. The ideas explored throughout the captions are expanded and elaborated in the pictures and vice versa, allowing readers to see two sides to every story depicted in the book. One such example of Bechdel effectively utilizing both mediums can be seen in the first chapter when she describes the parallels between her upbringing and Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life. In her caption, she writes, "But when Jimmy Stewart comes home and starts yelling at everyone, it's out of the ordinary." The subsequent frames illustrate Bruce Bechdel yelling at Allison and her brothers, while a television in the corner of the picture is showing the corresponding scene from the movie. Bechdel expertly balances the relationship between frame and caption, and the result is an engaging reciprocation in which each part builds off the other and, in fact, needs the other to properly function in telling her story. Lemberg further praises Bechdel's ability to combine the two forms to produce a piece that strives to go beyond the surfaces, tell the story surrounding the images, attempt to open the curtains. The frames show one half of the story, while the captions can provide the missing information that may be crucial for a proper understanding of the author's narrative. In Chapter 1, Bechdel shows her family for the sham that it is, before quickly bringing it back around with the final frame, stating, "Yet, we really were a family, and we really did live in those period rooms." The duality of her portrayal adds a level of complexity to the narrative, but at the same time eases the process for readers to fully comprehend the family dynamic of the unique Bechdel household, and reminds us of the ability of comics to depict life behind the formal pictures. After approaching this innovative graphic novel with an air of cautious optimism and empathy, the inner workings of Alison Bechdel's chaotic mind are able to be properly analyzed, and a truly unique, informative, and engaging autobiographical story is formulated. What the novel possibly lacks in vibrancy due to its lack of color, it undeniably makes up for with its vivid narrative and its introspective self-critique that both add considerable depth to what can otherwise be a dull form of literature. It is understandable that one would dislike the book due to the relative difficulty in identifying with and connecting to the themes and forms explored throughout it, but when met with an open-minded disposition, it truly comes into its own as a tremendous culmination of skilled storytelling, excellent visual support, and layers of self-analysis that provide a refreshing break from the regular tropes of the genre.